Can't wait to watch it. We'll be back with 3 things you can do today to add more joy to your life after this. Think about the last conversation you had with your sister or your best friend, and you probably talked about how guilty you felt about something.
Yeah, whether it's not spending enough time with your partner or second-guessing a decision you made with your kids. I mean, guilt seems to be nonstop.
Well, luckily for us, life coach Valerie Burton is here to help us reset our expectations with tips from her new book, Let Go of the Guilt, Stop Beating Yourself Up, and Take Back Your Joy. Hi, Valerie. Valerie, we're so happy that you're here because Hoda and I talk about how we're all saying we're sorry. You know,
yes.
Guilt is a major thing.
So much.
Right? We say we're sorry too much. What is your definition of guilt? And you say there's 2 types.
There are. There's to guilt falls. And one is something wrong or I've caused harm. And the false guilt is I feel like I've done something wrong or caused harm, even though you may not have. And I think this one is epidemic, especially among women.
So that's the false guilt. When you think you've done something, but you haven't, I feel like I am always like sometimes I'll even on a script, I'll say, oh, sorry, I just need to change this because, you know, but it was really good, but I just changed a little because like I find myself over-explaining and maybe I shouldn't be feeling guilty about that stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I was on a plane and a woman was apologizing to every single row as she was taking her luggage down the aisle. I'm sorry. So often we're feeling guilty about things, whether it's how much time we're spending with the people that we love, how we're working, and especially in the pandemic, a lot of parents having to work while their kids are in school at home and but they can't give it to them. A lot of guilt around that, around decisions, whether you put them in school or you have them staying at home, you feel guilty one way or the other. Am I putting them at harm? Am I causing them social problems because they don't have any interaction? There's a lot I think we're feeling guilty about.
Okay, let's talk about authentic guilt. You say that's different and there is actually an upside to this.
Yeah. Obviously, guilt serves a purpose. I mean, when we've done something wrong, we ought to, make up for it. Or if we're about to do something wrong, guilt can stop us. But there's an upside. Conscientiousness is the trait that makes people successful, to more happiness, but it also leads to more guilt. So oftentimes people who are very conscientious actually feel more guilt because they're always trying to do things right, which means they're always setting themselves up to ill.
I feel like men don't care as much as we do. They never feel guilty. They just don't. Like, I feel like we're always feeling guilty about the dumbest things. And they're like, what? I had to fire him. It's like, what? Like, wait, what?
I will never forget dropping my son off at preschool a couple of years ago. And we left. My husband and I dropped together. And I said, oh, I just feel so guilty. And he's like, about what? Oh, I'm working, I have this business, and he has to go to school. And he's like, he doesn't want to be at home with you. He has all his bros there at preschool. He didn't understand my guilt. He was like, this is what you wanted, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, this is exactly the life I wanted, and yet I got there and still felt guilty.
Yes. Okay, so what are the big things? I think particularly now there might be specific things that we all have in common that we're all feeling guilty about, and maybe if we can address those.
Let's get not guilty. Yeah. How do we get unguilty?
Well, you know what? Number one, you have to reset your expectations. And right now, in the middle of this pandemic, if we have the same expectations of ourselves we had a year ago, oftentimes we end up falling short of those. So dated expectations set you up for vague ones. Like when we surveyed over 500 women for this, most said they feel guilty about how they're eating or not exercising enough. But what is enough? If you're not specific about your goals, then you can always do better or do more. So stop and say, what does success look like? Feel guilty because you still have.
Well, I feel guilty because our connection isn't great.
Me too, I feel bad.
But
no.
Wait, it's just a little funky, don't worry. But will you tell us the 3 things we can do to kind of get joy in our life and get guilt out?
Absolutely. Number one, reset your expectations. So for joy, what brings you clear about that? Number 2, when you're feeling guilt or any other negative emotion, label it. When it pops up, just go, that's guilt. And what that does is it creates an interruption. So react out of that guilt. And then lastly, just push back on it. Question the guilt. Like, is this true? Am I really doing something wrong?
Right.
When we do that, we slow ourselves down and set ourselves up for more joy.
Well, Valerie,
thank you.
We love you. Check out Valerie's book, guys. It's a great one. It's called Let Go of the Guilt. You can get it at today.com/shop.